Hello. Today's stories come from r/Am I the Jerk. We're serving up another Am I the Butthole burger today, with the fat story in the middle. But every story comes with a helping of updates. We'll start with heading back to school. Our first story is Am I the butthole for failing 27 out of 31 students for not taking a quiz? I teach a math class in 8th grade. Because the classroom is really small and there are many people, they sometimes are a bit loud. But that's okay, and I try to give my best to accommodate them to be most comfortable. Wednesday, they were really loud, and I announced an online quiz because we did not come to the point to do it in class. I also stated that I would upload it on Thursday and it would be due on Friday at 6 p.m. It is not much 10 questions just to see where everyone is at. But it is graded. I repeated myself twice that it was mandatory and graded, and they did not listen, apparently. I uploaded the quiz, and 4 people actually took it. They received feedback and their grade. The rest did not take the quiz, so I gave them all a 0 today. In less than 15 minutes, the first student mailed me that I could not just fail him. A few students joined in complaining about the 0. Some of them apologized for not turning it in. Then a mother emailed me, how could I fail her precious daughter? And that if 27 people failed, it would mean my quiz was too hard and I would be a butthole to fail them all. Until now, I did not respond to any of the mail because then they would expect me to answer everybody. I will do this on Monday. But I wonder, am I a jerk for failing them? For information, it's maybe 1% of their grade. Edit because I realized I need to clarify something. They were loud the entire period. Normally, this is not the case. I don't know what was different this day. This caused us to be slower than I planned and not being able to test where everybody stood on the topic. So at the end of the lesson, I told them that this quiz was being uploaded and they would have to take it. They were not especially loud then, but some were distracted with packing their things and stuff. Edit 2, because someone said it was important. It was written on the board. It was written in the class book. There is all stuff written down in means of tasks and topics from their classes. Update. I just got another email from the same mother. Why I did not reply to her email since she wrote the first email a few hours ago. I love parents. Last edit. Because I cannot answer every single comment, thank you all for your judgments. While there were many helpful and respectful comments with constructive feedback, I am really shocked that people insult me as a person for an action I post here. I'm not talking about the you're the jerk judgments. I take them. I talk about the ones telling me I am a horrid person, a bad teacher, or even insinuating that I am mentally sick via comments and via private messages. Maybe think before insulting someone for one single action without knowing what else happens in my classes and life. Now to the quiz. They know how to do it. They did it often before. They won't fail the whole class because of it. Also, I am not responsible for telling their parents to remind them of a quiz. They are old enough to remind themselves. Many suggested that they could retake the test. They can, but not for full credit and not in class. I will tell them on Monday, and it will be due Wednesday morning at 8 a.m., also online. As it is a simple 10-question multiple choice test, you can do it in 10 minutes on your phone. That is more than enough time. Also, an update in the mother mailing me twice. I got an email from her daughter telling me how sorry she was that her mom messaged me, as she panicked as her mom saw the 0 and told her the quiz was too hard because she forgot about the quiz and therefore did not take it. Edit. The insults continue, and so does the teaching advice from some people here, again in private and in this post. To make it clear to you, I accept every single you're the jerk statement as everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But I do not need your advice on classroom management, my teaching skills, or my personality for asking a judgment of one specific situation. The situation is this one quiz, not my general teaching because you don't know my teaching style as you only got told this one single situation. Also, yes, I got it. This post has language errors. Surprise! I am not native English speaker as I stated before. Update. The kids came to me this morning and apologized. They all promised to take the test as soon as they get home today. A few whined when I told them they get a different test with less credit, but most accepted it without discussion. First off, not the butthole. Sounds like these 8th graders weren't paying attention, which they paid for in the end. My takeaway is that the kids proved to be more reasonable than some of the parents. And I might even conclude that OP effectively had them take accountability for their actions. Sounds like a successful teachable moment in my books. Let's head to the comments that try to carve out where bending to the will of entitled parents can be bad when it comes to grades. Stereo on Cooking Bacon said, "Teacher here, let the zero stand, or you're teaching them that refusing to work and then complaining about it is acceptable. Give them an in class assignment that is one, basically the same thing, and two, worth enough points that it brings up their averages. You could even give them the exact same thing, and the kids who did it the first time get a double benefit since they already got the points and the feedback. Not the butthole. They're in school to learn more than math. This is a teachable moment." Constant Shop added, "That sounds like a good way to approach the situation. Not the butthole. They need to learn to listen in class." Arcadia Ego said, "Not the jerk. Professor here. Please let the zeros stand. Otherwise, they learn that they can bully their way through a class. If it was on the board, you announced it, and several students completed the quiz, they had sufficient notice." Big Red Plastic Tuba added, "As someone who took school really seriously because I had to pay for it, can't stand when people try to bully the teacher on grades. I feel like the first day of every class in college was just the teacher reading the syllabus and a handful of entitled brats trying to barter what percentages things were worth. I'm paying to be here, and I hate leaving my home. Why are you people wasting my whole day like this?" Our second story is tragic, hilarious, and everything in between. It's gotten a couple of updates, which we'll cover in the next section, but first, we need to set the groundwork and look at some reactions. So let's dive in. The story is, am I the jerk for calling the police on my fiancé? I'm a 35-year-old male, and last night, my fiancé, 38-year-old female, left in the evening to give a friend's son a ride back to his home. She implied she'd be home before 9. She left at around 7:45. 10:15 rolled around and she still wasn't home. I texted and she apologized to me, saying that her friend's son was actually in the next town over, maybe 30 minutes away, and she was coming home now. 11:45 rolled around and she still hadn't come home. So I called her to no answer, texted her to no response. I was getting very upset. 12:30 rolled around and still no response and no answer to my phone calls. I was extremely angry. 1:30 rolled around and my anger had completely transformed into worry. Not answering my calls and texts not read. Around 1:45, I called the police. I have always heard that the first 24 hours of someone being missing is the most important, so I didn't want to delay. I asked them to let me know if there had been any traffic accidents involving her car, and the operator told me that they would put out the word and send some cops to check along the route she would travel. I called all the hospitals in the area to check if she had been checked in, and I waited outside watching the road for her car for 3 hours, partially because I didn't want the kids to hear me on the phone with hospitals, and secondly, because I was sick with worry. At 7 a.m., she came home. She apologized for being out and said she had no excuse. She was driving home and felt tired, like she was falling asleep at the wheel, so she pulled over to the side of the road to sleep. When she did that, she found that her brand new phone had stopped working. She says she napped anyway because it was the responsible thing to do, and then came home at 7 a.m. to bring the kids to school and get to work on time. I immediately called the police and told them that she had come home safely and gave them the case number and told them to stop searching, which they did. My fiancé brought the kids to school and left for work. I set out to start cleaning. Cleaning de-stresses me sometimes. And I got a call from a policeman asking where she worked. I told him and asked why, and I was informed that it was their policy to check on the person's wellness after a missing person is found. I asked them to not go by her work, but to give her a call instead. He said he couldn't promise. My fiancé is relatively new to her job. A police officer showed up and asked to speak with her. She is now enraged at me for calling the police and sending a cop to her work and making her look bad. She is saying I overreacted and that she wasn't missing and that I was punishing her for doing the responsible thing and not driving while drowsy. She is saying that she is never going to leave the house again except for work because she is afraid I'm going to call the cops on her again. So, did I overreact? Should I have waited 2 days like she suggests? Oh my gosh, this is one of the most ridiculous things I think I've read. I think the more important question is, what is her ragey response trying to cover up? I mean, she was so drowsy. She just had to pull over onto the side of the road between towns because, oh, right, she didn't actually know where she was dropping off. And a courtesy call to say she was fine? Wasn't possible. Hmm. I don't have to say much because the comments cover it. Obviously, OP is not the jerk. Let's check out the comments where OP comes around to what should be pretty obvious. Kezzy by the lake said, "Not the jerk, but you know she's lying, right?" OP replied, "I do suspect that the story isn't truthful, but she doesn't really have a history of lying to me, so I've been trying to give her the benefit of the doubt." Minor Reddit said, "Not the jerk. I don't believe her story one bit. Driving a kid home and disappearing for the entire night is a massive red flag. How does she not even know where he lives when she started the drive? How old is this kid? Pulling over and sleeping on the side of a road for a 30-minute drive is nuts. She is now turning this around to say she is the victim of your actions." OP replied, "The kid is 17, I believe. She was picking him up from somewhere he was at, I don't remember where, and bringing him home to her friend." Madeline Gumbo said, "Not the jerk, but you know that isn't the truth, right?" OP replied, "I did ask her about why her brand new phone stopped working, and she eventually confessed she dropped it in a puddle. But when she got home, it seemed to be working." Edit, I think this would be more believable if it had rained in the last few weeks. Edit 2, my fiancé has informed me that she was embarrassed, but the truth is that she dropped it in the toilet, not a puddle. Sad Atmosphere said, "I think you should show her this post, our responses, the fact no one believes her flimsy lies, and ask what she thinks." OP replied, "I did that. She was very angry at me for posting a one sided version of the story, but when I asked how she should rewrite it, she refused to answer." Let's not delay any further and get right into the update. First of all, thank you to those of you who offered kind words and solid advice. This update is likely to disappoint some of you, as it does me. My fiancé and I have been fighting solidly since before I posted my last thread. It's been exhausting. I called her out on her obvious lie, and she fumed at how awful I was for calling her a liar. From then on, it was as if she was falling down a smooth, well, desperately clawing and grabbing at anything she could to blame me for as she went deeper and deeper. I'm not a perfect man, but in this particular situation, I was an angel, so she had nothing to grab onto. I did a lot of soul searching and I made a call that most of you will hate. I decided to bury the hatchet. I love her very, very dearly. I had no proof of a lie, and I wasn't too concerned about what she was really up to anyway. Our relationship is open, so even if she effed around, I didn't care much. She still fought with me, though. The fight continued to the point where she broke up with me, but not really, which was a common tactic she had used before. I called her on it, and she fought with me still. I asked for space for a night so I could sleep off the exhaustion, and she got upset and told me I was neglectful and selfish for not going to her and making up in person. I am stupid. I am aware of it. Even through all of this, I was apparently able to believe that what she said in emotion wasn't really her talking. Today, I was having lunch. Money has been tight lately. For some reason, weird. So I flipped through my wallet to find my credit card, which was missing. Well, you see where this goes. She had stolen it. She cited our desire to join lives together and merge finances, and that when I lent her my wallet once, she took it so she wouldn't have to bother me by asking again. This credit card is mine, under my name, and for emergencies only. She was using it for the last month and a half. While she has been decent enough to pay back some of it, there was still a $1,500 balance on it that hasn't been paid. She says that it's hers just as much as mine and resents me calling her a thief. A lot of the uses were spent at ATMs for cash withdrawals and some interesting ones at the casino. Those of you who guessed gambling were probably right on the money. At that point, I admit I lost it. I am a very calm person, but there was only so much denial of reality that I could take. It's still blurry, but I said a lot of horrible things to her and am in the process of evicting her from my life. I am canceling everything that is in my name that she is a part of, including the new phone line, canceling her car insurance and reclaiming my car that I gave her, and she is trashed. Apparently, I can handle lies, cheating, and secrets, but who knew theft was my line? Learning experience. Now, thinking back, I can identify lots of sketchy crap that my love goggles blinded me to. But there's a pretty strict character limit. Well, OP said it. He's stupid, was in love, but he's not the butthole. I have lots of questions, though, so let's head to the comments to get some answers from OP before he tries to move on. Zangdar said, "You dodged a bullet. It could have been way worse, especially with gambling addicts. Better check your accounts more frequently and make sure she cannot touch anything. She's an extraordinarily toxic person. Citing a desire of merging finance to take the card had me flabbergasted. Like, this is not how teamwork works. Tokugawa said, relationships are built on trust. Her going off the grid on you and lying about her return definitely makes trust impossible. Good luck, OP. Watch out for a baby trap, OP replied. Luckily for me, a baby trap is impossible. For the dumbest timeline said, my man. Mysterious Girl said, so you confirm she has a gambling addiction? Or are you assuming? It's not that I don't believe you. I definitely think she's been up to something behind your back. I'm just not convinced she's not cheating. I'm thinking it's gambling and cheating. All in all, I'm glad you were broken up with her for good. How is she taking the breakup? Are you willing to take her to small claims court to replace the stolen money? OP replied, very convinced that it's a gambling addiction. No, I won't be going to court. I'm just putting this behind me and moving on. In our last story today, an entitled brat faces the karma. It's called, Am I the Jerk for Returning My Stepdaughter's Birthday Gift Because She Didn't Save a Cupcake for My Daughter? I'm a 33-year-old female, and I'm engaged to my fiancé, a male of age 36. I have a 4-year-old daughter, and he has a 16-year-old daughter. He comes from a conservative family, so we won't move in together till after marriage. So far, we're on good terms as a blended family. But I noticed that my stepdaughter acts kind of distant towards my daughter. Every time I try to talk to my fiancé about it, he tells me to give the kids a chance to bond and warm up to each other. My stepdaughter's 16th birthday took place on Sunday. Since she's into baking, she decided to bake cupcakes instead of having an actual birthday cake. My daughter and I went over to my fiancé's house to attend the party, and I brought my stepdaughter a gift, which was an iPhone. We sat down as she started serving everyone cupcakes. Then, when it was my daughter's turn, she bluntly said she was sorry, but she didn't save any for my daughter. I felt confused. I asked if she made enough cupcakes and whether there were guests that came uninvited. She said no, and that she just didn't make one for my daughter. I asked why. She refused to say. I was so mad and felt hurt on my daughter's behalf. I got up and told my fiancé that I wanted to leave. My fiancé tried to stop me and offered his cupcake to my daughter, but I refused to take it. On my way out, I grabbed the gift I brought for my stepdaughter, and she stood there and watched. I could hear her yell, "Dad, she took the iPhone!" while I was walking out with my daughter. My fiancé tried to get me to go back inside, but I refused. Later, he came over and we had an argument. He said that I overreacted and that I know how some teenagers can be moody and do random stuff without an explanation, so I shouldn't have taken it personally. I said she excluded my daughter and didn't save her a cupcake, but he said it was just a cupcake and then reminded me that he offered his cupcake and said I should have accepted it and called it a day. He said taking the iPhone, which was supposed to be a gift, back was poor taste, and it might hurt my relationship with his daughter. I refused to give it to him so he could give it to her since she was crying about it. He left and was mad at me. We haven't talked since then, except via texts. Edit. She's been wanting the iPhone for a while, and since her dad couldn't buy it, I decided it'd be nice if I gifted it to her. For those who are asking how a teenager could own an iPhone, I'm sorry if it's uncommon where you live, but where I live, iPhones are the most common phones. Also, I saw that she served her girlfriend a whole plate of cupcakes, so it's not like she baked a specific number. Oh, not the jerk. Who are these people? I'm not sure who's worse, the entitled stepdaughter or OP's fiancé. Based on how he's treating her, seems like this is a marriage of convenience for him. Let's check out the comments, which amount in dogpiling on the entitled daughter. C. Schmidt USA says, not the jerk, and don't marry this man. He will clearly expect you to cater to his child at the expense of your own. This is who he is. Believe him and react accordingly. Someone added, yep, a 16-year-old is acting like this because she's been allowed to. And with only a few years before adulthood, the odds of her growing out of it aren't in OP's favor. Percy Conabears added, wow, your stepdaughter to be is a mean girl, which is a polite way of saying that she is a brat. Brats are cultivated. Your fiancé allows this for the last 16 years. He's not going to change. Best of luck to you and your daughter having to deal with this BS. You sound kind of awesome. You deserve so much better. And so it goes 24 said, you paid for an iPhone? Yeah, this really isn't about you being a jerk in my opinion. It's not an overreaction when you don't feel like being disrespected and unappreciated. And she left a 4-year-old out on purpose? Play stupid games, kiddo. Win stupid prizes. not the jerk. Ray Rain Thunderstorm said, not the butthole. Birthday girl effed around and found out. Fine, I'm on Reddit, added, but the balls on her to yell, Dad, she took the iPhone, as OP was leaving. Cotton Dragon said, Dad, stop her. If you've enjoyed the story and would like to hear more, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Thanks, and bye for now.